Imagine a town, so small it barely makes a mark on any map. A place where everyone knows everyone, and life moves at its own relaxed pace. This is a town where days are filled with friendly waves, shared recipes, and laughter that floats on the breeze. The sun shines a little brighter here, and the air smells a little sweeter. It's the kind of place that seems untouched by time, where the only clock you need is the rising and setting of the sun. The people here, they're a picture of health, not a wrinkle or gray hair in sight. They radiate a vitality, a certain glow that's almost too perfect, too pristine. Their countenances, eternally youthful, and their hearts, well, they're seemingly invincible. But here's the thing about perfection. It can be deceiving. It can hide truths that are darker than the deepest night. But beneath this perfect facade hides a secret that chills the bones. Into this surreal tranquility steps in a man, a son of the soil, returning home after years. A cardiologist by trade, he had left the town to pursue his dreams in the sprawling city. The death of his parents, however, brought him back to the place of his birth and his childhood, this picture-perfect town seemingly untouched by time. His name is John, and he is a man of science and reason. Though he had spent years away from this quaint town, the familiarity of it all still lingered in his memory. The town's idyllic charm, the friendly faces of the townsfolk, and their seemingly perfect lives. It was as if he had walked into a painting, a beautiful tableau of pastoral life. But as John spent more time in the town, a sense of unease began to creep in. The perfection of it all seemed almost unnatural. His trained medical mind couldn't help but notice small anomalies. The town's residents, for all their cheerfulness, never seemed to tire or fall ill. Their heartbeats, when he had the occasion to check, were strangely regular, almost mechanical. He recalled his father's tales of the town's folklore, stories of ageless beings and strange happenings. He had dismissed them as mere stories, figments of an old man's imagination. But now, he couldn't shake off the feeling that there was more to these tales than just old wives' tales. His scientific curiosity piqued, John decided to delve deeper. He began to observe the townsfolk more closely, their habits, their routines. He noticed their aversion to any talk of illness or pain, their seemingly inexhaustible energy, their eerily perfect health. His medical instincts alerted, our cardiologist is about to uncover a chilling reality. As a cardiologist, he knows every beat of the human heart, but here, in his own town, the rhythm seems to be missing. There's something unsettling about the way the townsfolk move. They're too lively, too vibrant. It's as if they're trying to overcompensate for something. The cardiologist, let's call him Sam, begins to notice these oddities. At the local diner, he watches as old Mrs. Jacobson, a woman he remembers having a heart condition, wolfs down a plate of greasy bacon without a care in the world. Sam's old school teacher, Mr. Robinson, a man once on the brink of a heart attack, now runs marathons around the town square. Then there's the town's butcher, a large man whose size always concerned Sam. But now he lifts heavy carcasses with an ease that defies his bulk and age. It's all too strange, too perfect. Sam decides to investigate. He invites Mr. Robinson for a checkup, under the pretense of a routine exam. The stethoscope is cold against Robinson's chest. Sam listens and waits, but there's no thump-thump, no familiar lub-dub. It's as silent as a graveyard at midnight. A chill runs down his spine. He checks Mrs. Jacobson, then the butcher, and a handful of other townsfolk. Each time he's met with the same eerie silence. No heartbeat, no life-giving rhythm. It's as if their hearts have vanished, replaced by an unnatural stillness. Disbelief turns into shock. How is it possible? How can they live without a heart? His mind races, trying to make sense of the impossible. Is this some sort of twisted nightmare, or a cruel joke played by the universe? The town he once knew, the people he grew up with, are all living without hearts. As a cardiologist, Sam knows the human heart is not just a mere organ. It's a symbol of life, love, and humanity. But in this strange town, it seems to be missing. The townsfolk, while appearing to be full of life, are devoid of hearts. How can a town full of life be devoid of hearts? The return of the son, the cardiologist, seems to have disturbed the town's eerie harmony. An undercurrent of unease began to ripple through the once tranquil streets. The idyllic life of the town's people had been shaken, as if a mirror reflecting their perfection had been shattered. The sun's return, like a stone thrown into a still pond, had caused ripples that turned into waves of change. Suddenly, the town that had never known sickness began to experience odd occurrences. People who had never felt a day of pain in their lives were now falling ill. Coughs and colds, once foreign concepts, were now the talk of the town. The once vibrant faces showed the first signs of fatigue, the lines of age slowly creeping in. The townspeople, who had always been in the prime of their health, were now visiting the son, the cardiologist, seeking remedies they never thought they would need. The town's perfect veneer was being stripped away, revealing the cracks underneath. The people who had once roamed the streets with hearts void of fear were now filled with apprehension. Whispers filled the air, rumors spread like wildfire. The return of the sun had led them to confront a reality they had chosen to ignore, their heartlessness. The town, which had once been a haven of serenity, was now a picture of chaos. The people, who had always lived in harmony, were now at odds with each other. The fear of the unknown had turned neighbors against each other, suspicion replacing camaraderie. A sense of dread hung heavy in the air, like a thick fog that refused to lift. The town, once bustling with life, was now eerily silent. The return of the sun had turned their perfect world upside down. The town that had always been a sanctuary for the heartless was now a place of fear and uncertainty. A town that never slept, now lay restless, its secret exposed. The cardiologist, driven by his oath and love for his town, is determined to put a heart in every chest. A sense of urgency fills the air as our hero embarks on an unprecedented mission. He's a man on fire, fueled by a potent mixture of duty and despair. His goal is as clear as it is bizarre: to bring heartbeats back to this heartless town. In his makeshift operating room, he labors tirelessly. Each heart is a beacon of hope, a promise of life returned. His hands, skilled and steady, perform the delicate dance of surgery with precision. He attempts to implant hearts one after the other, each procedure a desperate plea for normalcy. Yet the townsfolk are not so easily swayed. They resist his efforts, their perfect lives threatened by the return of the one thing they never knew they missed. Their bodies reject the hearts, as if repulsed by the very organ that once gave them life. The cardiologist's attempts are met with failure, but he remains undeterred. His struggle is not merely physical, but mental and emotional. He grapples with the eerie reality of his hometown, wrestling with the paradox of its perfection. The resistance from the townsfolk is strong, their fear of change palpable. Yet he knows he cannot abandon his quest. He has seen the emptiness in their chests, the void where a heart should beat. His determination is unwavering, his resolve unbreakable. He pushes on, fueled by the love he holds for his town and its people. Each setback, each rejection only strengthens his resolve. He continues his fight against the odds, against time, against the cruel twist of fate that has rendered his town heartless. As the cardiologist battles against his own exhaustion and the growing skepticism of the townsfolk, a chilling realization dawns on him. His struggle is not just against the heartless bodies of his townsfolk, but against the very fabric of his once idyllic hometown. But as he fights against time, the town seems to be fighting back. The clock ticks ominously, the fate of the cardiologist and the town hanging in balance. As the last chime echoes through the eerily quiet streets, he braces himself at the precipice of the unknown. The town's lifeless pulse is now in the hands of the one man who left it behind. The cardiologist, once an outsider, now the town's only hope, clutches the scalpel, his lifeline to the heartbeat of his hometown. The room is chilled, the air thick with anticipation. His hands, steady and sure, are guided by years of knowledge and the desperate hope of restoring life to the heartless. The moment of truth is upon him, the weight of a town's survival pressing heavily on his shoulders. The stakes are high, the tension palpable. He makes the incision, his heart pounding in his chest. As the scalpel descends, one question remains unanswered. Will the heart beat, or will the town's eerie silence remain? Y'all, we're wrapping up here, but don't you go anywhere just yet. Show some love, hit that like button. Fancy more content like this? Go on, subscribe and let that bell icon ring so you won't miss a beat. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, sharing is caring. Until next time, stay tuned.